Welcome students. Today we will see a module that is on dairy products, that is yogurt and cheese, module number 24. I'm Ms. Karen Lenisha Cabral, Assistant Professor at St. Joseph Vaz College, Kottalim, Goa. In this module, we will cover up the following topics: yogurt and starter culture, yogurt processing, cheese and its starter culture, and cheese processing. You all will learn in this particular module the definition of yogurt and cheese. It will explain the starter culture of yogurt and cheese and the process of how exactly yogurt and cheese is made. So the fermentation process. Coming to the introduction. Fermented dairy products, as you all know, is also known as cultured dairy food or cultured dairy products. These are basically produced or been by fermentation with lactic acid bacteria. So in this module, we are going to see about yogurt and cheese, but there are many more dairy products that can be found in the markets today. The fermentation process increases the shelf life of the product while enhancing its taste. This is done by the bacteria that have been incorporated in these products. Now, the range of different lactobacilli strains have been grown in laboratories. Coming to the first product, that is yogurt. What exactly is yogurt? Yogurt is a fermented milk product that contains the characteristic bacterial culture, that is Lactobacillus bulgaricus and Streptococcus thermophilus. These two cultures are present in yogurt that we consume. Now, yogurt contains 8.25% solids. Full fat yogurt contains about 3.25% milk fat. Low fat yogurt contains not more than 2% milk fat, and non-fat yogurt contains less than 0.5% milk fat. As we see, yogurt is all milk. So the main ingredient when we prepare yogurt or we find yogurt, is the main ingredient is milk. Then you also have other ingredients which are included, that is the cream and the non-fat dry milk. Cream is to adjust the fat content, while dry milk is added to adjust the solid content of yogurt. Then we also have stabilizers which are added to yogurt. Now, why stabilizers are added? To improve the body and texture by increasing the firmness of the product. Then preventing separation of the whey. Now, whey is the water content of the milk, and helping to keep the fruits added uniformly mixed in the yogurt, because nowadays we have various kinds of yogurt with some fruits and other additions. Now, coming to the starter culture, the main starter culture, as said previously, is Lactobacillus bulgaricus and Streptococcus thermophilus. Now, the function of starter culture is to ferment lactose, that is a sugar which is present in milk, to produce lactic acid. And this lactic acid, increase in lactic acid, decreases the pH and causes the milk to clot or to give that soft gel-like texture, which is a peculiar feature of yogurt. Now, fermentation of lactose also produces flavored compounds. Coming to yogurt processing, it includes 8 steps, that is adjust milk components and blend ingredients, pasteurize milk, homogenize, cool milk, inoculate with starter culture, hold, cool, and package. We will see each of these steps. Coming to the first one, that is adjust milk composition and blend ingredients. Now, milk composition is adjusted to achieve the desired fat and solid content. So, the fat content is decreased and the solid content is on a higher side, and this is achieved by centrifugation. Ingredients such as stabilizers are added in this step, that is the first step. Coming to the second stage, that is pasteurized milk. Now, the milk is pasteurized at 85 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. Now, this heat treatment is important because it is used to denature the whey proteins to form this stable gel. Now, this heat treatment also reduces the number of spoilage organisms that are present in the milk for starter culture to grow. Now, milk is pasteurized before the starter culture is added. Why is this? So that the activity of the starter culture is not hampered. That is, the fermentation process is not hampered, and this starter culture can act as probiotics. The third step is to homogenize. So the blend is mixed thoroughly, that is all the ingredients, and it is homogenized at 2000 to 2500 psi. Now this is done so to improve the yogurt consistency. Then the milk is cooled, and it is cooled at 42 degrees Celsius because it is pasteurized at 85 degrees Celsius. So it needs to be cooled, or it needs to be the temperature needs to be reduced to 42 degrees Celsius because we need to maintain a ideal condition for the starter culture to grow. If this is not achieved, the starter culture will die out. And only after it reaches this temperature, then the starter culture is inoculated in this cooled milk, and it is held at the same temperature until a pH of 4.5 is reached. Now, this allows the fermentation to progress to form this gel-like consistency, to reach the gel-like consistency. Then the yogurt is cooled still further to around 7 degrees Celsius to stop the fermentation process. And finally, it is pumped from the fermentation vat and packaged as desired, that is in packets or in the cups that we find nowadays in markets. Coming to the second product, that is cheese. Cheese is also made from raw milk, or it is made from pasteurized milk. Now, pasteurization of milk helps to destroy spoilage organism, which is very important so that it does not affect the growth of the starter culture, to provide a better condition. Now, cheese made from raw milk, that which does not go through pasteurization, has to be aged for at least 60 days so that to reduce the possibility of exposure to disease causing organisms. Now, cheese can be of two types, that is acid or rennet cheese, or natural or processed cheese. When we talk of acid or rennet cheese, it is made by adding acid or rennet. Rennet is the enzyme that is found in the stomach of mammals, that is cough. So it is made from rennet so that the proteins are coagulated. An example of this is cheddar or Swiss cheese, whereas natural or processed cheese is made directly from milk without any additives. Example we have is American cheese or the cheese spread that we find. Now these are some images. Now the main ingredient of cheese, to make cheese, is definitely milk. It can be from a cow, goat, sheep, water buffalo, or a blend of all this milk. Now for acid cheese, acetic acid or gluconodelta-lactone is used as a coagulant, whereas rennet cheese, the enzyme from a cough, that is cough rennet, or a rennet that is produced through microbial bioprocessing is used. Cultures for cheese making are called lactic acid bacteria because they break down lactose from milk to lactic acid. As said previously, lactic acid is going to lower the pH, and only after that rennet is added. Now, the typical starter cultures that are added are Lactococcus lactis, subculture Cremoris, Streptococcus salivarius, subculture Thermophilus, and Lactobacillus delbrueckii, subculture Bulgaricus. And along with that, some other cultures can also be added, that is Lactobacillus casei and Lactobacillus plantarum. This is with regard to cheddar cheese. And then we have some yeast and molds which can also be added. Now the cheese processing, coming to cheese processing, we have these various steps. First one is standardization of milk. So milk is standardized before cheese making to optimize the protein or the fat ratio to make a good quality of cheese. Then the milk is pasteurized or mildly heated to reduce the number of spoilage organisms. Then it is cooled at a temperature of around 32 degrees Celsius for the bacterial culture to grow. So this is the ideal temperature. Then the starter bacterial culture is added to the milk at the same temperature, and it is kept for around 30 minutes for ripening. Then rennet is used, that is the enzyme acts on the milk protein to form curd. Now after rennet is added, it is not disturbed, it is left undisturbed for 30 minutes so that a firm coagulum forms. Then the curd is cut and then heated. So it is heated at around once it reaches a pH of 6.4. It is cut with cheese knife and then it is heated to 38 degrees Celsius. The V is drained from the vat and the curd forms a mat. Now this mat that is formed is cut into sections and it is piled on top of each other. This is called a cheddaring. And finally, for cheddar cheese, this salt is sprinkled on this mat that is being created. So there is salt which is sprinkled, that is dry salt. Then it is formed into blocks. So the salted curd pieces are placed in cheese and pressed into blocks to form cheese. Then it is stored and aged at for certain time. So the cheese is stored in coolers until the desired age is reached. And the final step is packaging, wherein the cheese is cut and packed into blocks, or it may be waxed. To summarize the whole thing, you have the starter cultures which ferment lactose from the milk to produce lactic acid. Then we have the starter cultures of the yogurt, the types of cheese that we have seen, that is acid or rennet cheese or natural or processed cheese. Then we have the cheese starter cultures and we have seen the processing of yogurt as well as cheese. These are the references. Thank you.